I got a call from my boss, and he said, hey, don't tell the family yet, but all forces are recovered. Everyone made it. And the letdown that we had in that moment, there was like 4 or 5 of us, and we're all crying. We're so excited. And like 20 minutes later, he calls back, hey, it was a false report. Still status unknown. You didn't go tell her, did you? I was like, thank God, no. And then it was only about a day later that we got the official news.
Where were you when you got the news about Red Wings?
So that was a tough one. I ended up coming home from the deployment per the administrative mess up. I get home and then they say, turns out the mess up was a mess up, so you could have deployed with Danny and the boys anyway. Sorry about that. But you're home now, so we're going to put you in a staff job, and it'll be okay. So I was pretty frustrated, and I was only home about a week or two. And I was at dinner with my wife at the Olive Garden, and I got a call. So now I'm the only guy from the platoon home. Everyone else is still forward, just the way it worked out. And they said, you got to get over to Patsy's house. Something's happened. Danny's status is unknown. And so we immediately dropped our son with friends, and off we went. And then we spent the next about a week there with Patsy, and then brought in his mom and dad and brother and sister as well. We just stayed glued to the news. What a lot of people don't realize, we remember June 28th, but people don't realize that we didn't know they were dead until July 4th. So from the moment we knew they were status unknown, for almost a week there, we just sat on pins and needles, watched the news, hoped. You hear rumors about one guy might be on the loose, running free. You start convincing yourself, that's got to be Danny, and telling stories to build hope. Going into work, checking in, what are the intel updates? What do we have? What can I say? Drive back to the house. We didn't have much at that time. And so I was there.
Damn.
Yeah, at one point, it was horrible. We finished off, and some of the other spouses were with us, and we went to eat at like an all-night diner. And we're sitting there just fatigued from the strain. And I got a call from my boss, and he said, hey, don't tell the family yet, but all forces are recovered. Everyone made it. And the letdown that we had in that moment, there was like 4 or 5 of us, and we're all crying. We're so excited. And then he said, but don't go tell them yet. We're like, all right, we're going to hang here. And as soon as you give us the word, we're going to go right. We were like a couple hundred yards from Danny's house at that point. We were right there. And like 20 minutes later, he calls back, hey, it was a false report. Still status unknown. You didn't go tell her, did you? I was like, thank God, no. And then it was only about a day later that we got the official news. That was a roller coaster of a week.
How did you handle that?
Most difficult moment of my life. Yeah, I got the word, be at the house. CEO and the chaplain are inbound. And so I get there. I see him kind of hiding in the shadows. So I go partner up. I sent Amy inside. I said, hey, get in there and be ready. I think that's how it went down. And we go to the front door, and then the rest is just these flashbulb moments of grief. I remember Patsy. I remember her dropping to the floor and then bouncing up and running from the house. Like, it was such a, she was just trying to run from reality. And we had to chase her down, bring her back to the house. And then as we're still standing there, just no one knows what to say. There's no right thing to say, I'll never forget. Her body did what it could only do in a moment like that. And she fell to the ground and started throwing up on the carpet. And Amy and I were holding her hair back as she vomited. Terrible day.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible day. She's Patsy's family. She always will be. She's a special woman, as you know.
It sounds like nobody was closer with them than you and Amy.
I would never claim that.
I mean, you guys deployed together. You
Yeah.
sat in the front of the SDV together. You sat in the back of the SDV. You spent a lot of time together.
We did.
More time with him than you have with your own wife.
Yes.
From your own words.
That's fair. And I think you're right in that most of the guys in the platoon would say that, but I would never claim to be his best friend, right? Danny had a lot of best friends because he was the guy that made everyone feel valued. It didn't matter if you were a SEAL, diver, support technician, corpsman. That dude just loved everybody and made everybody laugh all the time. And so one of the neatest things I saw after he died was people would come forward and start telling these stories about he made them feel like they were the most important person in the world, and they couldn't believe that this young SEAL would treat them that way. And so I had to take a step back, and I wanted to always make sure I never claim that part of him, right? He was special to a lot of people. But yes, I loved him. I loved him dearly.
I guess where I'm going is because you were so close, how did you support Patsy through that time?
Yeah. Show up. And there were days where you don't know what to say because, like I said, there's nothing to say, and you just be. And you don't judge. If I've learned anything from my career, that was the first of many unfortunate tragedies of our career, but you never know how a grieving spouse or mom or family member will behave. And there's a spectrum of what will happen, and you never know what to expect. And so you just be, and you love as best you can, sometimes not knowing what that looks like. But in hindsight, just being there and hugging when they need it and giving them space when they need it. That's another thing too, is sometimes they get overwhelmed with the support and they just need space. And so we were very clear with her, hey, you just let us know. You're never going to offend us. That's the thing about Patsy. Like, even in the midst of her grief, she was worried about upsetting other people. And, I don't want to hurt your feelings. No, this is not, my feelings are not important right now. So we accommodate whatever we could, and we were brutally honest and said, be brutally honest with us, what you need from us. And if you need space, then you get it. You get it. And you tell stories when they want to hear them, especially the funny ones, because we all need to laugh in those moments.
DJ Shipley's who's connected us.
Yep.
And DJ, if you're listening, thank you for the connection. Where I'm going with this is DJ married Patsy later on in life. And so I want to know, as somebody who was that close to Danny's family, what was it like for you to see Patsy?
It was beautiful.
Move on.
It was beautiful. And what I mean is, DJ never felt threatened by Danny's memory. And I've seen other people who are, and they feel like they have to compete with this memory, which you can never compete with. Like, Danny will always have a special place in Patsy's heart. And DJ never felt threatened by that. And not only that, like, here are some of the early stories Patsy told me. Because, of course, she's family now, right? And so anyone that comes, to the doorstep, we were curious about, is this guy going to treat her right or not? Here's one of the first dates they went on once they realized there was a romantic connection. He said, yeah, do you have Danny's last set of camis? He knew that she did. The ones she hadn't even washed them. They still smelled like Danny at the time. She said, yeah. He goes, I want you to put them on and be ready. I'm going to pick you up Saturday morning, whatever. We're going to go on a date, but you're going to be wearing Danny's camis. She's like, all right. So he takes her to the drop zone out there in Suffolk, and he had set up a tandem jump for her, and he was going to jump with her. And he said, this is Danny's last jump with you and with me. That's a dude that is so secure in his love for her and not threatened by Danny. Like, okay, how could you not love that guy? Immediately, we fell in love with him, and absolutely, like, this is okay. You guys are meant to be. And his dad he'd put me through a portion of training back in the day too, so I knew of him. So it wasn't a surprise at all for us, and their relationship just took off from there. There was another thing. Like, at one point, he's looking at Danny's shadow box in the room, and he realized one of his medals hadn't been updated. At some point, I think Danny was given the Bronze Star, but then it got upgraded to the Navy Cross later when the paperwork finally came through, and the initial shadow box didn't have the cross. And DJ saw it, and he goes, hey, would you mind, I don't want to upset you, he said, would you mind if I just take that and go get it fixed and updated for Danny? And of course she didn't mind. So we did. Like, okay, good to go, dude. Good to go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the family.
Wow.
Yeah.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.